All right, Pikachu, roll that beautiful bean footage. Spanks in love. Spanks in love. Ooh, who's Spanks and what do I care? Happy birthday, Auntie Linda. Happy birthday, Uncle Brian. Hello, everyone out there in TV land. It's time once again for the Super Sully Sunday stream, coming at you live and direct and 720p. Whatever that means. So, how you doing today? We've got some comic book recommendations and reviews coming at you. We've got a recap from yours truly about Dallas Fan Expo 2025. Here we are coming to you from our Boston studios here in Boston, Massachusetts, United States of America, North America, planet Earth, third stone from the sun in the Sol system, which is nestled in the outer spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, part of our local group of galaxies from our perspective, inside what we refer to as the Virgo cluster of galaxies, inside an even larger thread filament strand structure of galaxies that resemble a nerve cell and a brain cell. We call that the Laniakea supercluster of galaxies, which is inside the known universe, of which could be just another tile in the grand mosaic of the yet to be fathomed, unplumbed, unrealized, unmeasured multiverse of all possibilities. That is right, coming at you on a Sunday, late Sunday morning. We had to adjust the time today. Usually, we do this show every week, every Sunday, 3 p.m. United States Eastern Time. Pardon me as I put some coffee into my mouth. Amazing. I got the windows open on this beautiful June morning, which is about to become afternoon any second now. Hey, Snortapoopus. Good to see you. Hello, and other critters. And to everyone else out there in TV land, good to see you all. Let me know how the audio is. Is the music clobbering the dialogue? We don't want that. You hear a high-pitched whine. It's coming from outdoors. I'm keeping the windows open. You're going to be hearing the occasional revving motorcycle. I think I live near some Hell's Angels. Actually, hey, no lie, my godfather is one. That's true. Traffic or the occasional train rumbling by. Where is that coming from? I think it's coming from outside. I don't think it's coming from inside the apartment. It's coming from inside the house. Okay. Thank you, Snorty. Snorty's a great polar bear, and just like, don't handle salmon with bare hands before petting a polar bear. This is practical advice for anyone, anywhere, at any time. Good to see you all out there on this Sunday morning. It is a wonderful day. I have plans at 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern. I got to meet a friend for either like brunch. Usually ends at 2:30, so I don't think I'm getting brunch. I love eggs Benedict. I love brunch. I'm a restaurant cook. I used to be. I'm a professional chef. I've put myself out to pasture. I am now a union cook at a local university, at a marketplace cafe. You know, and then affords me a wonderful schedule Monday through Friday. Lo and behold, the Hells Angels. Who called that? Oh my goodness! I got to meet a friend for lunch in the early evening, and yeah, they said, "Can I meet you at 3?" And I'm like, "Okay." Well, I hope everyone that watches this show understands. And thank you so much. Sorry, we should be back next week, 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern as scheduled. We didn't do it last week. Why? Because I literally landed I didn't literally land a plane. I literally was a passenger in a Southwest Airlines direct flight from Dallas, Texas to Logan International. I flew from Love Field, not an international airport. It's just, and I think it's a Southwest Airlines hub. So it's just like, I chose wisely. It's like right, like 15 minutes away from downtown Dallas. And I had no problems flying Southwest. I really didn't. It was fun. And I got a direct flight. So I had to cut out Sunday as a day. Holy shit, Monfrere. MVP, most valuable penis. Max Von Priestley. Dude, yeah. Good to see you. Good to see Max out there. I got to meet Max in real life. Dude, he sat next to me at supper. And, we literally broke bread. Like it said in the olden days and in all the way back to the Bible and stuff. No, literally. I got to share my cheeseburger with him. This expensive cheeseburger that had pork. It was Angus. It was an Angus. No. It was Wagyu. It was Wagyu. It was a Wagyu smash burger. Smash burgers are like a big trend, and they have been for a couple of years now. I don't object. I love a smash burger. I like a thick burger. You know what I mean? I like a smash burger. I'm a burger kind of guy. We were in a nice restaurant too. Perch took us out. We'll get there in the story wise, but yeah, that burger, nom nom, it was so good. Yeah, I was like, I had to, you know what I mean? Geez, it had a fried egg on it. It had pork belly on it, and my mouth's watering, literally just by thinking about it. Max, I have a picture of that in the truffle fries. I didn't post it on Twitter yet. I will post it a little later and tag you. I will. But yeah, so we're gonna dive into it. And hey, JK, and good to see you. Good to see you. Sorry we missed you at Dallas Fan Expo. JK sounded like she wanted to come up and meet us, but just didn't. Sometimes things don't happen, and we'll get you next time because there will be a next time. I guarantee you. This Fan Expo Dallas 2025 was a smashing success. What we did over the past couple of months, once we found out that Wes of Thinking Critical, Wes is from Kansas City, Missouri area. Originally, he did 20 years in the Air Force, so thank you for your service, Wes. And Max as well. He was a Marine who did his tours of duty. Thank you. I'm always grateful for our veterans. Thank you so very much. And JK is driving. Yes, but Wagyu. JK says, exactly. It was a really, really decadent burger. It was really good. And a nice place. We'll get there. We're going to talk all about it. And also, super shouts out to, let me finish the thought there. When I'm on Wes's show, it's Saturday morning, 10 a.m. show, U.S. Eastern, 10 a.m. U.S. Eastern. I'm in my third year of being a panel member on that show. How he found me, I don't know. I was watching his show, contributing to the live chat, I guess, and I was doing daily content. I had started being a real YouTuber, I'll say it on January 1st, 2022. My contribution. That's when I started my daily comic book show, The Golden Age of DC Comics 365. it was based on this book. I thought it would be a great excuse to do comic book style. What I love the most is my hobby. That's why we're all here. I've had this book for 20 years. It was given to me by one of my best friends. It's a coffee table book, and it serves my coffee. It serves my coffee table to this day. Technically, it's behind me in my display, but it's been on my coffee table for the better part of 2 decades. Friends come over, they thumb through it, and it's a conversation starter. And I also got to learn more and more about the golden age of DC Comics, which ran from 1938 until 1955. This is a 365 days book. You open this book up to today's date, you read the blurb, you look at some comic book art, and then we get to talk about comic books. And we talked about comic books on this show for not just the 365 days of this book, but for about 600 days in a row. I think our streak was broken about 550. I'm not sure. I forget. I don't really, keep too track of too much. Short story long. Wes noticed me somehow and invited me one day on the show. I was the lapsed reader. I wasn't buying books then, and the consensus. But I hold my own in the conversation nonetheless. So from the lapsed reader, I became the weekly reader. Again, I go to my local comic book shop usually every Wednesday, a new release day. And I talk to the staff. I talk to other customers. I'm outgoing. I'm friendly. I'm personable. I'm like, hey, what do you got in your stack? What do you got? Wait, what are you reading? And like, oh, you like that? Well, check this out. Or, oh, maybe I need to check that out. I love our culture. And so Wes has a really he's got a decent sized audience, a great show, and great panel members, and great special guests. And he invited me to be along on this ride. Wes, at late last year, early this year, began informing us that, hey, he hadn't been to the States in a long time, and his kids had never been there either. He lives in the Philippines. He has a wife. He's got kids. That's where his life is. And so the kids and his wife had never been to the States before. So it was time, and the kids were old enough that they could travel with his youngest, and they made a grand vacation out to the United States of America. And Wes informed us that he was going to be around for Dallas Fan Expo 2025, which ran May 30th, 31st, and June 1st, last weekend. So guess what we did? We, whoever was available and could afford it, could swing it, we cobbled together a meetup. And, to be honest, one of the first thoughts I had was, hey, the Friday Night Tight Boys can do this. Why can't we? Let's have a panel. Let's do a live show. And, we literally took the weekend off and didn't, we just concentrated on hanging out and having a good time. And that was the most important part of it. Maybe next time we do it, we can do a content house, because most of the boys stayed at an Airbnb. And now that we've actually all shown up, we know who could show up, be like, hey, maybe we should do a content house. Maybe that's a great idea for the next time. So I'm on Wes's show now. He asked me to be a permanent member of the panel. That's why you see me on every week. Usually I was the bench. I was if someone bailed, it would be in the middle of the show, or actually at the beginning of the show, never at the middle. But someone dropped out for technical reasons, and he pings me on the side. You ready to come in? I'm like, yep, suit up. Just like Tony Stark said. So I'm so happy to be part of this show. I'm part of. I got to introduce myself and be recognized as you're Sully from Thinking Critical, and I'm okay with that identification. I am more than okay. I accept that and earned it, and I've earned a sense of brotherhood with these guys that I've been hanging out with for the past couple of years in a non-delusional parasocial grid on a Saturday TV show that we make ourselves, and we talk about our culture, we talk about our community, we talk about our hobby. We love comic books. We love the superhero comic books of the big two, specifically. The ongoing, the never-ending battle between good and evil. And how culture, is it changing, or are people dictating the terms of culture who shouldn't be? Or, have we been besieged by tourists and the focus groups that want to, suit the tourists and not the locals? I always think of it kind of like it's like a weekend show in a small town, and you have thousands and thousands and thousands of people show up to this event. And when they leave, do they pick up after themselves? Usually not. Usually the area is trashed. The people have gotten drunk, maybe have gotten into scraps or tried to take advantage of the girls, scraps with the dudes, trying to get some hookups with the low, you know what I mean? Maybe have urinated on your porch or kicked down your fence. What do you need to do when the tourists leave? The locals just need to rebuild. Put that fence back up, scrub what needs to be scrubbed, heal your bruises, cringe at your carnal hookup choices. Short story long. Let's get to some pictures. Let me share with you a screen. Sharing that's Ezequiel Sanchez. Thank you. We got to meet him. And I believe it was your wife or your girlfriend, but your partner, and great people. And then there was Tommy, was it? And but let's go to profile. This is my Twitter page. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Reverend Sully on Twitter. I am only on YouTube and Twitter for social media. I am not on Instagram, not on Facebook, not on MySpace, not on Blogger anymore, not on Friendster anymore. I'm not on TikTok. Here we go. All right, we're going to start off with this tweet, and we're going to look at some pictures. Dallas Fan Expo memories. I met Eric July, the Soska sisters, Gary Nerdrotic, Gary Beekler, and Jay Drunk 3PO. Again, I hadn't seen Jay since Fan Expo 2022, where I met him IRL for the first time. But yeah, let's look at some pictures. Let's look at this. Here we go for Sully's. See you later, JK. Thank you so much. So yeah, we had a meetup at Dallas Fan Expo, and I was there. We were there Friday night and Saturday, and everyone. A lot of the others were there Sunday as well. I know Nick had to leave, and Dylan had to leave on Sunday, and so did I. But the boys had a great time on Sunday. Sunday's a quieter day at the expo. Saturday is the busiest day. These are the Soska sisters, Jen and Sylvia, and they have some professional writing cred. They have written for Marvel's Black Widow. They are identical twin sisters from Canada, and they've done some controversial, cultish, like horror movies. And love them or hate them, they are notorious. And they are actually effervescent, bubbly, flirty, and fun as all hell. So whatever your allegiances in the great grand civil war of independent comics in the crowdfunding sphere, they're cool. They were really cool chicks, man. They were so fun. They helped me put together a quick video to my friend Thomas Gilkey. The Gilkinator returns, the Gilkman, and because he loves the Soska sisters, and so I got them to say like, "Hey, can you say hi to my friend Thomas?" You can literally see that in the middle of my last week's video, the Dallas Fan Expo half hour, just and such behind the scenes, just me walking around the con. This, ladies and gentlemen, this handsome hunk of masculinity is J David, aka Drunk 3PO of the Geeks and Gamers sphere of YouTube. He's got his own channel. He does other channels too, besides Star Wars and video game content. He also talks a lot about pirates, and I love historical pirates. He talks about historical pirates. This is such an interesting conversation, especially for me and for him. He's in Florida. Me, I'm in Boston. So we have a deep history, all of our history in America, in these parts, with piracy, naval piracy, and the high seas, the Jolly Rogers, the walkings of the planks, and the args and the rum, and the he's a great guy. He was at the Soskas, and this is me at the Ripper. I went to the Ripperverse booth. That has got me into a little bit of hot water with the Comicsgate crowd. I literally got, I got some flack for that. I don't know if I want to talk about it because it's more of like, who cares? Seriously, Mike Jenkins, how you doing? Good to see ya. But yeah, so there's me and Drunk 3PO. I got to meet him again. He recognized me and he was like, "Hey, Eric, how you doing, man? Good to see you." And just it's good to see him. He's a good guy, and got to spend a couple minutes talking to him. The one, the only, the notorious Eric D. July, aka Young Ripper, of the new metal rapish band called Backwards. So it's instead of backwards, it's backwards with a Z, and kind of like that, late 90s, early 2000s, like rap scream metal. It's got an audience. He's a showman. He really is. He had great energy. So regardless of what you've seen on the YouTube TVs about whatever. I wanted to meet the guy. I wanted to demystify this. Meeting Eric gave me perspective. Looking at his booth, quite literally seeing what he had to offer as a purveyor in this marketplace, in this hobby space of ours, it gave me perspective. See, I watch a lot of what you would consider Comicsgate people. I watch a lot of the Jack Show, but I watch a lot of Ethan Van Sciver, and Eric July is Ethan Van Sciver's Joker to his Batman, and there's a relentless focus on Mr. July from Mr. Van Sciver, and I watched, to be honest, I watched way too much of that content, and meeting Eric was a refreshing experience. It gave me perspective. Having some literal human touch, shaking his hand, looking him right in the eye, being like, "Hi, Eric. I'm Eric O'Sullivan from I'm Sully from Wes's Thinking Critical." He's like, "Yeah, man, I know you. Yeah, how you doing?" And that was nice to be kind of recognized. I guess we weren't complete strangers in a way. He's been on the show before. No, I wasn't on that day. Because it was Eric Breen was on, and I'm Eric O'Sullivan, and he's Eric July, and it just would have been too lopsided with Eric's that day. So it wasn't my day in the rotation. But Eric he ended up being a really nice guy. He had great energy. That was my first thing, and I got to tell him, I was like, "Dude, you got great energy, and I love your setup. I love your table. This looks great. I like what you're doing." And he was like, "Thanks, man." And I had a nice minute with him, man. You got to spend a couple minutes talking to him. He's all right. This is one of my happiest parts of going to this convention, to be honest with you. This is Gary Beekler, aka Nerdrotic, co-host of Friday Night Tights. He's got 1 million followers on his channel. I was a member of his channel back in 2019. I had to drop it in 2020 because of COVID, because of, I was on furlough and I had to watch every penny. Gary Beekler has had an amazing impact on me. And everything I'm telling you right now, I was so blessed and grateful to have told him to his face. I shook his hand. I went up to him and I'm like, "Hey, Gary, I'm Eric O'Sullivan." And he looks at me. He's like, "Yeah, man, I know. I watch your show." I don't think he watches this show, but I know he watches Thinking Critical. And so I'm like, it blew me away. That Gary, I'm going to be honest, Gary Beekler is kind of one of my heroes when it comes to this YouTube thing. Because when I was a member at his channel, I used to be part of the member streams. He would do the show, with a 9-panel grid, circulating guests come in and out, so people have a chance to be on a live stream, a member's live stream. So it's like if you have the link and you're a member, you have a link to it. They're not public on his channel. They're for us, and we hang out with him. And he gave me two very salient pieces of advice. One was this YouTube thing. I was just started making content in a way. I was doing everything on my iPhone with a clip, a tripod clip and ring light that I got the idea from Jenny Nicholson. You're one of my heroes as well. And so Gary said on a member stream, all you need, basically, this is a paraphrase, is a great microphone, a decent webcam, and have something to say. And so I took that, and that's the recipe for this thing of ours. I know I have something to say. All I needed was better equipment, as they say in FX is the League. Equipment. I got a better mic. I got a Blue Yeti kit with the boom mic. The boom arm is kind of essential because it's you don't pick up table sounds. It's a decent cam. I got a decent cam. It's got a ring light on it. It can be HD 1080p if I want it to be. That eats up memory. That eats up bandwidth too. So 720 is just fine with me. It's got a nice clear picture. And I have something to say. And so I've got a refurbished desktop. I've got some monitors, a keyboard, and a mouse. And so I have myself a YouTube studio. And Gary Beekler is a big part of that. The second biggest part of this thing, you know it from this show, about gratitude, and about my gratitude list. I got the gratitude list from Gary Beekler. Gary is an ex-con. He's a felon. Hey, we were just talking about you a second ago. I was to say, Jen and Sylvia Soska sent you a video wishing you were here. It was nice. And I know Thomas liked that a lot. This is Thomas Gilkey. He's a friend of mine. We're going to be hanging out on Tuesday. Anyone in the neighborhood, let us know. Or we'll be, probably going somewhere in the Newbury Street area, just around there. There's plenty of places. But yeah, this is Gary Beekler, aka Nerdrotic, and he during those member streams, he didn't even suggest it to me. It was someone else that was feeling like blues or feeling down, and Gary is just a big part. He is an ex-felon, an ex-convict. He did hard time. He, had a bad youth. He's also in recovery for drugs and alcohol. And so sobriety is a big deal for him. So he uses a gratitude list, and he suggested, have you used gratitude, kind of thing. He's big on that. And I was just in the right mood to listen at that moment. And so I did, and I listened to him. And that's where I began my gratitude list. And I started doing a gratitude list in 2020 on Gary Beekler's advice. I was big into Friday Night Tights, would watch it every week. You know what I mean? Be part of the live chat. Friday nights were great because it was like get a 6-pack of beer and a sandwich, turn on Friday Night Tights, and then after that go over to Doomcocks and spend Friday Night Frolics. You know what I mean? Get a little tipsy. And that was like 2018, 2019. But by 2020 comes COVID, comes lockdown, comes work furlough. I stopped drinking. I cut off all of my memberships, all of my Patreons. And I'm blessed and grateful that we all got back to work eventually, months later. But during that time, I took an opportunity to turn my life around. I stopped drinking. I had a drink every night to go to sleep, a 6-pack of beer at least. I stopped drinking. I dieted. I lost 60 pounds. It was a revolutionary experience. And then I started using gratitude at this time and making a daily gratitude list and doing it on paper. And eventually I moved that over to the YouTube, and it became the Live and Learn Morning Gratitude Show that I do. There's a playlist. It's called Gratitude. Please check it out. But this is Gary Beekler, Nerdrotic, and I was so happy to have met him. That was a big part of my Dallas Fan Expo experience. I was looking forward to meeting him, and it was a great experience. And I had I shook his hand. I got to look him in the eye. I got to put my arm on his shoulder, and I got to take a picture with him. And that matters to me. That matters so much. I look forward to meeting him again one day. Dallas Fan Expo 2025 memories. So we were there Friday night. And Wes wasn't. Wes had family ops because he's there with his wife and his 3 kids. And he was I think he had a B&B with Perch. Comics by Perch, anyone? Perch has a wife and 2 kids himself. And so, and they had their thing going on, their family unit. And then the Bachelors had their own Airbnb. And then you had stragglers like me, Nick Weiser, and Dylan. And it was fun. And so we all met up Friday night, the boys, and we had supper together. And Nick and I were great because it was just Nick Weiser was let me just go over to Nick real quick. Dallas Fan Expo 2025 memories, 1,000 thanks to 32 Flavors Nick Weiser, aka Toxic Nick. He's got his own station. He does a Friday night show called Clobbering Times Comics Show, dedicated to the memory of our friend Mike Alonzo. How we met. We met through the Mike Alonzo and Clobbering Times show, and a lot of us did. I got to meet Nick, but Nick not only got a hotel room in the hotel that I was staying at, he was in the room next to mine. And so we made a plan to be like wingmen, to be buddies, as in the buddy system. 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser was my con buddy. And this is interesting because it's very practical. Downtown Dallas is no joke. He's from Chicago. I'm from Boston. Coming home from the con at 12:31 in the morning from the bar in downtown Dallas, walking back to your hotel, it might be less than a 10-minute walk. But if you're alone, there are plenty of unsavory people out there. This is downtown Dallas. It's no joke. So to have Nick with me, and we would go to the con together and we would leave together. But by the time we got there, we would be like, okay, I'll see you. You know what I mean? I'll see you when I see you. I'm here on this. Catch me on the phone when I'm like, when you're ready. Kind of thing. And it was practical. It was safer that way, and it was so much fun. And I'm so grateful and blessed for 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser for being my con buddy. He was such a great guy. Like, he's exactly who he is on TV. Outrageous, heavy metal. You know what I mean? Just it was just so much fun. And we deserved each other's company and the practical safety of having a friend, having and this is from This is from Friday night. So I got to meet up with Aaron Sparrow, Drew of Comics Elite, a.k.a. Dolan Waddick. There's me. There's Max Von Priestley. There's Josh McDonald. There's Cajun Corey. Cajun Corey showed up. You know Cajun Corey from the live chats for all the different shows. And this is Dylan, the real comic book gamer. And with the exception of Corey, all the guys here, we're all panel members at Wes's Thinking Critical. So as I was saying, that Friday, Wes wasn't able to go to con. We were. So this is from Friday night. We went out to supper and spent time together and had something to eat. And that was great. Hey, Bone, good to see ya. Exactly. R.I.P. Clobby. I met Snortopoopus there too. But yeah, that was just that's just the boys hanging out. And it's a great picture of me, Dylan, and Aaron Sparrow. The first night of that's Friday. And I'm always impressed with Dylan because Dylan is in his mid-20s, and he is proof positive that the torch has been passed. So we got fans people like him that and Von Coleman and Teresa Campagna, aka Chester Bell, these younger people in their mid-20s who are just as authentic of fans as we are, and judgmental and discerning, and that's great. This is H.H. German. Hernan, mi amigo, que onda, que sabe? He's of Sigma Comics, the writer and producer of Here Comes Calico. It's a place where you can actually have activism in comics, because that is it's unabashedly, that's the story, that's the formula. Calico is defending, the defenseless, animal right abusers, people who hurt animals get hurt by Calico. So if there's a trigger warning, if you like Punisher or and Daredevil and Garth Ennis kind of levels of violence, I mean, H.H. German's Here Comes Calico is for you. Check out Sigma Comics. Let me get that link for you. Sigma Comics. Calico City. Here we go. Share this tab instead. Fight animal abuse. Pre-order now. This is that link in the chat. Sigma Comics. And he has some floppies. He has it in a manga tankobon style format. This is great. I love the logo because this is it's a pastiche of an old Bronze Age advertisement. It really is. Humans have superheroes, animals don't. That's about to change. Sigma Comics gives a powerful voice to all animals. Who cohabit this planet with us, yet are routinely encroached upon, threatened, abused, and killed. Sigma Comics fights animal abuse through comic books and manga to spread the message of animal rights with compelling and heroic characters. Through both print and digital mediums, Sigma Comics creates and distributes stories inspired by actual events, which often receive very little media coverage in the news. That's H.H. Germain. And him and his team, they were so generous. Big, special shout out to H.H. Germain, his team, and Sigma Comics for sharing their table space with us at the con. They were able to, Comics Elite and Aaron Sparrow's own Kneel Before Doomface were able to set up some table space and offer their independent comics at the con itself. And they did some business, they could spread their word. And HH was able to offer us some kind of headquarters, a home base, a hall of justice, one could say, for these heroes. And it was so fun to have like this meeting space, this one reliable space. We could always meet up at H.H. Germain's Sigma Comics table, and that was great. And thank you, H.H., for your generosity. Here's a great picture. It's just like that's Cajun Corey, the LSU purple hat, Max von Priestley, right there. There's that's 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser in profile, and there's me. And it's kind of like this one's like it's like a band picture. That's great. If this one's looking away, and the other one, and the other, you know what I mean? I think that's funny. Let's see. Now, here we go. Let's bring it up to Saturday. These are Saturday pictures. You can tell because I'm wearing now a different shirt. I'm wearing my Red Sox jersey. It's a number 45 jersey. That's Pedro Martinez. And I have a 1999 All-Star patch from Fenway Park on the sleeve. The man himself, the man, the myth, the legend, Wes of Thinking Critical. He's the one who brought us all together, and we came for him. And Wes wasn't feeling great that day, and he soldiered through, and God bless him. It was so great to meet him, and this is a great moment for me. Now this was funny. Here we are at the Stigma Comics table. If you can follow the cursor, this is Drew, aka Dolan Waddick. This is Josh McDonald. This is Max von Priestley. This is Aaron Sparrow. This is Wes. This is Ezekiel and his partner. This is Dylan. This is me. And these are two clowns. Now, the week before this, the YouTuber Richard C. Meyer, also known as your boy Zach, was going heavy in the paint on Wes and comparing him to other outrage content. Now, your boy Zach would define outrage content as the birthday party clowns derisively, meaning like, hey, you get paid for dressing up like a clown and jumping around at someone's birthday party, and you do it for tips, and that's your clowning is the outrage. So these two are passing by the table, and I'm sitting where Drew's sitting right now. These two clowns come around the corner. I'm literally like, hey, clowns, come here. Can you be part of a picture with us? Like, Wes was over on the other side, like almost in the other aisle. And I'm like, Wes, get over here real quick. Everyone saw, I was like, everyone get over here. They saw my intent like right away. I didn't have to say a damn thing. And like, everyone saw the clowns, and we all was like, yes, we're getting a picture with the clowns because we're not going to let Zach win. We are the birthday party clowns. We're the insane birthday party clown posse. These two are so cool to let us take a picture with them. Thank you, clowns. It was just a funny thing, like, hey, clowns. They both turned around. I'm like, can you take a picture with us? And that was just so fun. Hello, James. Good to see you. I'll see you probably at Boston Fan Expo, August 9th. I'm going one day. I have a one-day pass. I've already done Fan Expo. I did Fan Expo Dallas. I don't need to do a 3-day pass for Boston. I just got a Saturday pass. I don't see myself coming in on Sunday just to go to the con on Sunday. It'd be nice, but I mean, commute from Quincy on a Sunday schedule, and I just don't see it happening. And I could take a ferry that would drop me off right there at the seaport, but I couldn't be bothered. And then Friday would be after work. I could take the day off, like a personal day. But then again, it's like, no, it's just like, just go Saturday. Plus, I have a picture with Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen already paid for. It costs a lot of money. I'm getting a photo with Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi. But yeah, this is the famous birthday party clown picture. And yeah, that was just fun. This was a moment. This is a moment in time, and it was captured on film or on pixel. There's another great. This is a selfie by Max. Here's Ezekiel again and his partner, and I think this is Tommy. I forget. I'm so sorry. I'm forgetting everyone's names. It was just so much going on at once. And I'm so glad Nick was here for this picture too. But we got Max von Priestley. We've got 32 flavors of Nick Weiser. We got Wes. We've got Drew. We've got Dylan. And then my hat's not blocking Dylan this time. I'm so happy. What a handsome lad. We got Ezekiel and his partner. We got Josh McDonald. We got Tommy. We've got Aaron Sparrow. And we've got your very own Reverend Sully, Eric O'Sullivan right here. But this is H.H. German right over here. And this is the Sigma Comics booth. That's how much real estate he had. And then he moved over to half his own space and offered the other half of his table to us and to Drew and so just selflessly gave it to Drew and to Aaron to put their own comics there and spread word for their books. Independent comics. This is the spirit of independent comics. It's not the fucking fighting online. It's not the constant churn. It's not the constant negativity. You will become what you consume. That is the fate of everyone. That is just natural. That's what happens. If you're only watching the outrage content, then that's what you will become. Ladies and gentlemen, this is dinner. Saturday night. Perch. Comics by Perch. What a great guy. He arranged this. And he bought it. He paid for it. He treated all of us to this wicked, awesome dinner. It's a place called the Yardbird in downtown Dallas. It's it's an upper scale barbecue kind of place. And with really, it wasn't fine dining, but it was just like, this is a good restaurant. This was a really good restaurant, beer and bourbon. This is the bourbon room. So it's a small function room it has a view of the restaurant and the bar and the kitchen. And that's where they kept, you see all these bottles of bourbon that are, in display because, that's their thing. I mean, if I was a bourbon drinker, Perch apparently has an extensive knowledge of bourbon and liquors. I don't drink like that anymore. I'm lucky to just drink light beer and I can pace myself. That's exactly what I did. But we all had a magnificent supper. We broke bread together. I had the smash burger. And it wasn't because it was the cheapest thing on the menu. It was because that's what I wanted to eat. I could have got anything. I could have got the ribeye if I wanted. Those were the entrees at this really nice restaurant. But everyone's here. And I'm so grateful and blessed for that. Let's go around the table. Get Aaron Sparrow. We've got Drew, aka Dolan Waddick. The Winnie the Pooh, that's Perch, because Winnie the Pooh is kind of his. He has that on his channel in his intro, so it's like the Winnie the Pooh has become not just associated with Xi Jinping. Is that his name? The president of China. It's also Comics by Perch. Comics with Perch. Then Dylan. Then Nick Weiser. Was that Tommy? That is his name. Also, artist Ben Templesmith and his partner showed up a little after this. Ben Templesmith is an amazing artist, friend of Perch, and you might know him from his original artwork in Warren Ellis in his 40 Days of Steve Niles in his 40 Days of Night. He did Fell with Warren Ellis on Image Comics as well. H.H. German and his team, I forget her name, Caitlin. I forget. Remind me, one of the boys, because she'll be in Boston, and there's Wes, who wasn't feeling very well. And the first thing I did was I flagged down the waitress. I was like, "Hey, can you get my friend a mug of hot water, honey and lemon? His throat is so sore, and he won't shut up." And she was like, I got you. And he did. And you know what? I just he was looking for that earlier at the con, but there was no real coffee shop. It was just a commissary or just like a cafeteria style, but they didn't have hot water for tea. I'm spoiled in Boston because we do tea here. That's Max Von Priestley, and there's yours truly, Reverend Sully Eric O'Sullivan. This is Patty. This is Auntie Patty and Selma's slideshow. And Jub had a hot rock to lie on. What else we have? The last picture I'll show you in my Dallas 2025 memories is me. A little bit, just focus on me. Just fine. Here is some of the iconic Dallas skyline at night. So this is coming out of the K. Hutchinson Convention Center, and we stayed at the Holiday Inn Express, which was about a 10-minute walk away, adjacent to Reunion Tower, and which was also a couple of blocks down the street from Dealey Plaza and the Book Suppository building. Depository. That was a Stanley Kubrick reference. In Dealey, that's where President John F. Kennedy was assassinated. So I was living in I was in a historical spot. I don't have any pictures of it. I didn't go up to the 6th floor. I didn't do the tourist thing. I just walked past it. I'm like, yeah, sure. I am from a tourist city, and I didn't find the time for it. To be honest with you, I would have. This is the Reunion Tower. This is iconic Dallas skyline. It really is. And the lights were on, and now it looked exactly how it looks in the postcards. Between this picture and this picture, it's like that's like, I remember seeing this like on the back of like the Dallas Mavericks, like tops, upper deck basketball bubblegum cards and stuff. You know what I mean? Or hockey cards for the Dallas Stars. This is James Marsters, actor, known for his role as Brainiac and Brainiac 5 on the CW Smallville show. He also was on the Doctor Who spinoff Torchwood. He had a great role on that. But iconically and synonymously, he is and embodies Spike the Vampire on Buffy the Vampire Slayer and its spinoff Angel. I had brought with me my Angel DVD set cover slip, and I got autographs. There was Julie Benz, who was right next to James. You can see her. The background says Julie. Julie Benz, who played Darla, the vampire who sires Angel. She was sired by the Master, so like there's a lot of strength in vampire blood there. So Julie Benz is Darla, James Marsters is Spike, and then also David Boreanaz, who plays Angel. So I got all three to sign my Angel. I have both Buffy and Angel, but the Angel one fit in my bag. To be honest, I took the slip cover out of the DVD case. I put it in a file folder. I put the file folder in my bag so it wouldn't get creased or anything or destroyed. I took care of it. I also got this. I did the same thing with Felicia Day. Felicia Day, she's a famous in geek realms, but the Mystery Science Theater 3000. She played King of Forrester in the revival. She was the mad scientist, and also she has a crowd-funded geeky show that's legendary. It's called the Guild. If you haven't watched it, I would totally suggest that you watch it. And I lived in Dallas in the 1980s. I didn't do any touristy things either. That's great. But yeah, that's Spike. And I got, so he had the most reasonable rate. It's $50 for an autograph, and it was $50 for a selfie. But if you wanted both, he knocked the selfie down to $30. So it was just $80. I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll do that. And he was really cool. He'll be in Boston for Fan Expo. So I'm going to bring my Buffy the Vampire Slayer box and to pay another $50 and have him sign that too. Why not? I like this. This is so geeky to do. And this is, I waited in line though between James and David Boreanaz for 3.5 hours for 2 autographs, and that ate up time-wise. I did that first thing in the morning too. I went right in the line, like it opened at 10, and I went right to James's line. I wasn't free until like 2 o'clock, and we were leaving at 6 to make supper with Purchase. So that was maybe about 5. So I was only like really got to hang around the con for like 3 hours on a Saturday, you know. But so getting autographs, that cuts into your time spent. So that's a little survival. Ricky B, how are you? Good to see you. The guy hardly ages. He's 62. I know. He only recently started not dyeing his hair anymore. He looks great that way. He really does. I was watching him on Michael Rosenbaum's podcast. He shows up there every couple of years. He's a great interview, especially if you're a Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan. He talks deep lore, and he talks about Joss. He talks about his interactions with the cast. When I see him, I forgot to mention Michelle, and I meant, in hindsight, I should have said, I'm sorry for your loss. Michelle Trachtenberg tragically, passed away recently, and they shared a lot of screen time together. And it always sounds like he is like just one of those cast members that like everyone got along. It was like, it's really fun. This is a life-sized snowspeeder. There was also a life-sized land speeder too that I could have got a picture in at a price, but I could have, for this too, I could have crawled in and someone took a selfie or something. But yeah, I thought that was just cool. Wicked cool. Yeah. And that is the slideshow from my vacation. Anything else happened during that? No, just that's about it. I mean, it was great to meet Wes. It was great to meet Max and Aaron and Drew and Dylan and Nick and Corey and seeing HH again and meeting Perch. What a gentleman. I love that guy. I got a man crush on you, Perch. Don't take it the wrong way. If anyone's ever in Boston, let me know. And Snorty got that. That's great. So yeah, we're doing the show a little early today. I've got plans at 3 o'clock. I'm going to meet a friend for lunch, or maybe early supper. Maybe they'll still have brunch. I would love to make brunch. Brunch usually ends about 2:30, but I love eggs Benedict. Geez, it'd be so easy to make. I can make hollandaise sauce at home. I just like it when someone else does it. Mm-hmm. I should start doing it more myself. I really should. Ah, boy, oh boy. Yeah, and I had such a great time, and the food was incredible. The company was amazing. I made in real life friendships, and I'm so grateful and blessed to this YouTube sphere that I'm in. I've got to meet locally. I mean, I was looking at old pictures. The first people that I met up with were Brightest Day and Macklin made it, and that was in the late summer of 2021. And we all knew each other from the Friday Night Tights chats and stuff. And then we had our first big dinner and a movie meetup on December 27th, 2021. I think that was for Spider-Man No Way Home. And it was me, Pope Metallicus, Dr. Rachel Lindbergh, now known as Dr. Rachel Morgan, Macklin Made It, Brightest Day, and Thomas Gilkey. And that was 6 people. Those were 5 in real life friends I made, and then we made more. Because we said we did that, and then we went to Fan Expo the next year in 2022. There was a whole cluster of us. Memes of Destruction. Hey man, I heard memes might be around for this year too, and that would be fun. That would be so much fun. And Snacks and Friends, seriously, what a great guy. And Coach Murphy, and Freddie the Yeti. He does puppeteering, and it's really fun because he does it very well. I mean, just like we are the children of Jim Henson, and it shows because people out there can do puppet shows, and they're really, information is matriculated down to this level where someone can go to a craft shop and fabricate their own puppet. You just have to have a character voice and something to say in a way, and you can pull it off too. Seriously, I've thought of it. No, Pikachu, I'm not replacing you. You are irreplaceable. Pikachu, my executive producer. Special big shout out as well as I wrap up my coverage of Dallas Fan Expo. Big shouts out to H.H. German and Sigma Comics and your team for sharing your table and your real estate, giving us a home there to Perch, Comics by Perch, friend of Wes for a long time, but also now our real life friend. And we know his real name and what he looks like. And he's awesome. Thank you so much for your generosity and for setting up that dinner. That was so fun. Also, friend of the show, we know from our show here, from West of Thinking Critical, from Comics by Perch, and places everywhere in between, and from New York City, AL got me through channels and wanted to do something nice for us. Thank you. She knew that Wes liked cupcakes. Wes said something like he won't leave the table, like the Sigma Comics table, if there's cupcakes there. So AL was like, hey, well, if I send you some money, will you do the legwork? And I'm like, yes, I will. So I got into cahoots with AL. She sent me some money, an undescribed amount, but it was generous. And I found a local baker in downtown Dallas, and I had 14 fresh, delicious, very varied cupcakes. It's gourmet, exquisite. They were $6 each, so a dozen is $72. So you could do the math if plus delivery, Uber. I got Uber Eats delivered, and it was so convenient, and it was so easy. And I brought 13 of them to the con on Saturday because when we got back to the hotel before we went out for a drink and for a nightcap, Nick was like, I haven't eaten yet. I'm starving. Gave him a red velvet cupcake because he was like, oh my God, this is so good. That was his supper until we got to the bar where he could get something. I think he got some nachos or tacos. But it was like, oh my God, you haven't eaten. Like, I didn't want to bust them out, but like, what? It's like, what kind of choice is that? No, eat something here. Have a cupcake. Which one do you want? Oh, you got red velvet? I got 2. And apparently Wes and Drew split the other red velvet one. And guess what? The ones that were left over went home with Perch and Wes for the kids. That's great. And so we got to give the children a ton of sugar before bedtime. Yes! Ain't that cool? It was so much fun. Don't have a bad experience. There was kind of a weird experience, though, at the Rippaverse table. So there's a huge ongoing thing between Rippaverse and not Comicsgate, just Ethan Van Sciver's tribe on Comicsgate. Not all of Comicsgate is anti-Rippa. I know that. And so meeting Rippa, going to the Rippaverse booth, made me realize and give me perspective that the pond that we inhabit here, that we all swim in, isn't all that big. And you know what? People and groups do overlap. And we've had Eric July on Wes's show on Comics Aficionados. We've had Ethan Van Sciver on the show on Comics Aficionados. So it's like we don't play. I'm not in this. thing. I'm most definitely Comicsgate adjacent. I've been a member at Ethan's channel for about 2 years until recently. I canceled my membership the other day. Yeah, and I used to have a sticker of Rainbow the Brood on my phone. I took it off. I just I'm gonna put that side of the world on mute for just a little while, a couple of months. Maybe like NPR, I'll come back to it and be like, "Holy shit, you guys are just whoa!" Because it's just like I was saying before, you will become what you consume. You will become what you consume. Whether it's McDonald's, if you eat McDonald's every day, or you eat cupcakes every day, or maybe if you're eating good, nutritious, delicious food every day in proper portions, what do you think will be the outcome? The same goes for your eyes and your ears, for the information that we put into ourselves, for the time we spend in relaxation outside of work. So if my entire day and my entire wind down time is this constant stream of negativity, I got into this for the art and to support independent comics. And I do like, and I'm a big Ethan Van Sciver fan since 2001, since New X-Men. Big fan of his. And I'm a big fan of Shock Jock Radio of the 90s. I'm a huge Howard Stern fan when he was on terrestrial radio. I was never an Opie and Anthony fan, but those were shock jocks, legendary shock jocks, and the audience that follows them, whack packs and pests, respectively. So buttons, as my mom says. So I hear that it's funny because we were there Saturday. We went over to the Ripper booth. I went to the Ripper booth. I was there. Yeah, I went over to the Ripper booth on Saturday. And it's interesting because this happened on Friday and Saturday, I guess. And nobody heard about it. And not with our group. We would have talked about it. Hey, you hear what happened at Ripper's table? No, what happened, Aaron? Tell me, Max, what happened? Josh, what do you know? Dylan, were you there? We talk, we gabble like girls. We really do. We're worse than girls. And but we would have talked about it. We were hanging out all night and had supper. We would have talked about it if we knew this happened. But someone in a bunny suit not only went to the Rippaverse warehouse and just see what it's supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be kayfabe. It's supposed to be, but also it kind of treads the line of what is appropriate behavior? I mean, is there an appropriate behavior? What's justifiable? What's entitled? What's dangerous? Seriously, Mr. July had a problem with somebody who did that to earlier, and there was a big to-do about it. In my humble opinion, there was a lot of fucking around and finding out for both parties involved in that. It doesn't matter what I think. I wasn't, in a way, but I've been observing all this for like 2 years now. And so somebody in a bunny suit goes over to Eric's table, the Rippaverse table, with the intent of being disruptive and kind of disrespectful, of bringing this Rippaverse Comicsgate feud into the con. Now, seriously, I don't give a shit about your feud. I really don't. But the fact that you felt entitled to bring it into the con, that's when I began to have a problem. That's when my opinion begins. I am of the opinion that the con is like what the Kruger said to Connor McLeod in Highlander, 1986. Holy ground, Highlander! So I just no, keep that shit outside. I mean, seriously. And also, it's like the person in the bunny suit, is there to film themselves doing antics and to get attention, to get content at someone else's expense. And that person was asked to leave the con. And I don't know these people, and it's not my business. But like I said, like I've been watching Ethan's channel since 2018. I've only been a member for less than 2 years, or I was. And I've been subject to a lot of this fear of negativity, and but going over to the Rippaverse booth, saying hi, shaking hands, a little human touch, a little reaching out, a little FaceTime, IRL. It gave me perspective, and perspective is one of the big parts of using gratitude. No, Ethan has problems with Gary of Nerdrotic. It was the famous FNT zeros conversation, and I'm pretty sure if Az had accepted Ethan's apology, none of this would have happened. That is the Archduke Francis Ferdinand getting assassinated in Budapest that started World War I. There must have been a shitload of existing bad feelings to give this to be an opportunity. That makes sense. Kind of like World War I, but now you're in this state of total war, a cultural civil war within these YouTube spheres and crowdfunding comic spheres too. And for me personally, I need a break from it. Yeah, so I came here for the comic books. I did enjoy the kayfabe, the shock jock stuff, but only recently it's like it's gotten cringier and cringier and cringier. There's a lot of racial humor involved. I don't really dig on that. There's a lot of homophobic shit involved. I don't really dig on that. There's also this thing with a toy car being, having the trait dress says the master racers, because it's just a pushback and joke upon being called Nazis by progressive people for so long. So that's the joke. But in all reality, that's a Holocaust pun. I'm not okay with that. And I get it. It's the spirit of shock jock. It's where the shock jock crowd went. That energy, the audience. I get it. I'm part of that. I've been part of it. But I'm taking a break from that. I also got into a scrap with one of the people that was hurt or hurt themselves in the whole thing. They came at me on a YouTube comment thread. Said some really vicious things about me. But it was also, it gave me perspective, that exchange. I wasn't going to elevate the antagonism by resorting to rudeness, name calling, ad hominems and stuff, accusations. But it was so weird. It was it was like being on social media in 2017 and 2018. It was all about accusations. It was about adjacency. It was about enabling evil. It's like, you have no value. It was like I was being lectured by an SJW. But they're comics gay. How does it? No, I mean, it's out there if you want it. It's on Katie Ditt's channel of the two clips from the, not the longer form one, not the Frog Tony, recap. It was a two-parter before that. I mean, that's as far as I'll tell you about that. That's why you're on your own for that. I'm not even leaving a link. I mean, I don't want to get clipped. That's out of my control. It's more of I gave that person my honest answer, and it was all it wasn't accepted prima facie, and it was I was like, there is no cui bono. Who profit? Who benefits? Who's going to benefit from this exchange, from this engagement? I mean, like, no, it's better to walk away. Be like, that person doesn't appear to be reasonable, and it's not about reason. It's about outrage. It's about cultivating that out. So that was like that was the straw that broke the camel's back for me. It was like, I've had these feelings about not being too. I don't think a lot of this is fun. Half the time, there's a lot of racial components to it, especially directed at Eric July, which I think is very unfair. And I think, there's a lot of baked in homophobia. There really is. I'm not cool with that. Serious. I'm a grown man. I'm mature, and that's immature behavior. Sorry. Then there's the whole turning a blind eye to a Holocaust pun. That doesn't sit well with me. And then there's spending my time. What you consume, you become. That's just that follows sequitur. That follows natural. That's natural. So that's what I got to say about that. That's an experience. I met July. I met the Soskas. I met Gary. Did that make me a bad comic skater? I've never identified as comic skate. I am most definitely comic skate adjacent, because those are the crowdfunding comics I buy. EDS, Shane Davis, John Malin, Cecil, Aaron Lepresti, Billy Tucci, Graham Nolan. The list goes on and on and on. I like buying comics. I like buying these indie comics. They're usually very well produced. I've never bought a rip-a book. From what I've seen, I don't think it appeals to me. Visually, it's I maybe I should read one before I completely judge it. Yes, I get that. Speaking about reading comic books, let's get to the reviews. But to wrap up this part of the conversation, I'll come back and check it out in a couple of months. I need a break from the stuff. I'll continue to watch Jack Show. I will. That's how I wake up on Friday mornings, because Jack Show is it's about Anna, and it's about Cecil and John, and I miss Kelsey. I really miss Kelsey, but there's just been so much drama. I mean, it's like a soap opera, and I came here for the art and for the shock jock humor, but now you have this layer that's this buildup, this residue that's fomented in the past 2 years, and it's about animosity, but it's also with my perspective that our pond is only so big, and there will be overlap with people in groups. And cui bono, how is this going to benefit? How does this benefit to say, like, oh my goodness, you're an awful evil person because you shook Eric July's hand and you snuggled next to the Saskas, and you judge like we have every right to be disruptive and to go into these spaces and to disrupt this evil man. No, I have perspective. I have maturity. I have an opinion. Now I have an opinion. I was fine before not to have one. Now I do. What am I going to do with that opinion? Want to hit someone on the head with it? No, I'm going to keep it to myself. I'm going to keep on keeping on. I'm going to keep on supporting independent comics. H.H. Germain, Sigma Comics, Here Comes Calico. There's so many more comics out there to buy and to experience, to read, and to support as a patron. Because crowdfunding comics is literally is patronage. You are a patron to the arts. You're helping make it happen. I love that. Being a blue-collar person and having the ability to be a true patron to the arts. That's fulfilling to me. All right, let's get to the comic books. What did we buy this week? What's in the bag? I go to my local comic book shop every Wednesday. That's right. And buy new comic books. I have a pull list, and there were only 2 books on my pull list this week, and I got 1 off the shelf. I like to support my local comic book shop. My local comic book shop is, oh my goodness. Hello, Hojo. How are you? I haven't picked up. I have. For shame. My goodness. You're on Twitter, right? Well, do me a favor. Tag me. Do we follow each other? I'm so terrible at that. That's me on Twitter. Give me a tag and a link. I'll check you out. Seriously. Good to know. Thank you. Good to see you, Hojo. Thank you so much for dropping by the show. Yeah, I mean... Oh, see? Now we're talking, too. What's Twitter? Hey, you can... What the... But I go to my local comic book shop every week. Remember, your local comic book shop is the American way that Superman is speaking of when he says truth, justice in the American way. The American way is something that every immigrant is looking to have. Why do you think we have an immigration problem? Because the American way is the best. Everyone wants it. Seriously. Oh, by hook or by crook, they'll try. Cool. Got it. Will do. And but remember, your local comic book shop is an independent bookstore. It's a mom and pop brick and mortar shop. And the American way is about small businesses. And we're going to keep this American way going if we make a conscious choice not to use our online supply chain, that we make a conscious choice not to use our big box stores. We go to our small businesses. You know what? There might be a price to pay as well. You can get things cheaper at big box stores. You can definitely get your bags, your boards, and your boxes a lot cheaper buying bulk and having it delivered from your online supply chain. But guess what I do? I get my supplies at the local comic book shop. I pay retail because that helps keep the lights on. That helps keep, that helps with this thing of ours. You know what? Oh my goodness! Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to bust out the good china. The memes of destruction has arrived. Good to see you, man. How you doing? I hear you might be coming to Saturday Fan Expo. Dude, I paid $550 for a picture with you and McGregor and Hayden Christensen. I'm going to do it. Hope you're there. Let me know. And Thomas, too. That's who I heard it from. What's in the bag? This is the ubiquitous brown paper bag that we get at the local comic book shop once a week. Let's see what we got in here. We've got 3 floppies this week. We've got Absolute Superman number 8, brand new this week. To be honest, this might be my last issue of this magazine. I don't see it going anywhere. This is it's a lot of wheel spinning. The art's great. It's a decent story. It's just I don't want to buy a decent comic book. I want to buy a great comic book. And I've given it enough time and enough issues. It's on my pull list. I've got all 8 issues so far, and color me disimpressed. This was great. My pick of the week, kind of, because I only got a couple. G.I. Joe number 317, A Real American Hero, the aftermath of the Cobra Civil War, and Dr. Mindbender's got an upgrade. This is great. It's Larry Hama, whose birthday is yesterday. He's been writing G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero since 1981, and I believe has written about, say, 96% to 97% of every issue of A Real American Hero. It's great. And this is a fun book. I really like it. It's one of these in-between issues that's set up. It's reconciling. It's sewing up the loose threads. It's making new stitches, and it's setting us up for what's to come. But check this out. Okay, I noticed this. You notice the corner here? That's a ding. That's. They gave me a comic book with a bent corner. Then I went to go to the shelf and switch it up with another one, but all of them, there was only about 3 more in the shelf, but it looked like it got dropped on that corner in the crate or something. So, I mean, what do you think? Should I have negotiated a cheaper price? It's got a $3.99 cover price. But now it's ruined. I mean, like, this is not a 9.2. All of us should be paying cover price on new release day for a 9.2 with no dings. No dings! And I wanted to spend a minute on this comic book because not only is it not only is it one of the best single issue Superman stories ever told, it is an example. This was published in 2001. When I came back to comics after an extended break, I took a break at Onslaught and the X-Men. I just had enough. And let's get to it. Action Comics 7075. What's so funny about Truth, Justice, and the American Way? Written by Joe Kelly, art by Doug Mankey, Lee Berhamo. This is a facsimile. This is a Tim Bradstreet cover. Facsimile for $3.99. But actual facsimile, it's on glossy paper. Well, I think this was anyway, not newsprint. But it has all the old ads. And this is a great single issue story. Okay, 22 pages, great story. Superman is put in opposition against the Elite, which is a team of superpowered anti-heroes. And it was supposed to be DC's pastiche version of Wildstorm's The Authority. Little do they know that the Wildstorm universe would become part of the DC universe, and the Authority would become part of an even overcrowded Prime Earth Zero eventually. But also, it's like I've been going on. See, look at that onomatopoeia, Aruga, right there. Look at this onomatopoeia. Okay, this is from 2001, and I always make a big deal about cut and paste, drop and drag sound effects that rarely anymore does the penciler, the artist, do the sound effects. I did, Lane. Yes, I have to meet a friend for lunch at 3:00, so I had to make with a little bit early. I didn't want to hit when the show's over in about a half an hour, you can hit the rewind button and catch all those stories. We let off the show with that. But the Truth, Justice, and the American Way, there's a current brouhaha going on about, did James Gunn remove the American Way from his upcoming movie? And that really doesn't settle well with me, because like I was saying, about the immigrant problem. Why do we have an immigrant problem? Because of the American way. Because they want the American way. Because the American way is preferable. And Truth, Justice, and the American Way, that came from the old Superman radio show, but in the 1940s. So Truth, Justice, and the American Way has been iconic of Superman for over 70 years. It has been. And who wants to take away the American way? Well, it's academic postmodern progressives who think that there's something wrong with the American way, with the Western civilization way, and you can't sell me on anything else. Oh no, we have to appeal to a whole 4/4 audience, and just no. I mean, Superman is for truth, justice, and the American way. But look at these ads. I'm under the impression that there's a willful ignorance going on at the big two comic books, that they magically don't know who they're marketing these periodical publications to anymore. Now, periodical publication, those are magazines. This is a magazine. This is a magazine, right? Cosmopolitan knows darn well who buys their book. Their advertisements follow suit. Sports Illustrated, same thing. Rolling Stone, used to, you know what I mean? Any magazine that you get off the shelf, the marketing team behind that periodical publication knows darn well who they're aiming their advertisements at. So why does comic books have this amnesia going on for the past 10 years? Academic postmodernism, grad school, people drinking that Kool-Aid of political correctness. Your four-letter word is woke, and that we need to not market to boys anymore, or men, because comic books used to be full video game advertisements. From the inside cover to the back cover. Also, snack food. We're going to look at the advertisements in this book. So this was published in 2001, 24 years ago. Beautiful. Look at that splash page. My gosh. Look at that. This is a good book. All right, we now are up to 2 snack food ads and 2 video game ads. One house ad for the upcoming Kevin Smith, Phil Hester, Green Arrow, which puts Green Arrow back on, it brings Green Arrow back to life. And that was actually a really good thing. Here we go. We're up to 3 video game ads. Rainbow Six was a really good first-person, strategic and first-person shooter game. We're up to 4 video game ads. So yeah, I mean, look at these onomatopoeia. So, what I complain about has been more. It's been going on for 24 years, 25 years. Digital sound effects being cut and pasted and dropped and dragged into a panel. I mean, shouldn't I be used to it by now? What am I arguing about? Look at that. Floosh. That was not written by hand, drawn by hand. That was not done by the artist. This is a great issue. A 2-page spread for a video game ad. We don't know who to market to anymore in modern comic books. No, it says Sprite, so we can file that under junk food. I mean, do you really believe that? I mean, you look at modern comic books, what are the advertisements? Is it an anti-drug ad? I wonder how those fare in the days. Your friend wants you to smoke wacky weed, but now we have legalization, decriminalization, legalization, and taxation in retail dispensaries. That's where that culture went. And those are the ads. And this, and this is 1 generation ago, a little over 1 generation. Let's call a generation 20 years. And so this is literally a generation ago, this book. What did we read this week? Let's see. I read Imperial #1 this morning. Actually enjoyed it. Are you thinking of picking up any of the tie-ins or one-shots that have been announced? No. Actually, my first thought, I'll start off with reviewing Imperial then. I disliked it from the beginning. I think it's obvious who the heel turns are coming from. It's going to be Victoria, the sister of Star-Lord, who's going to be like the only person to get saved from that virus, apparently. I mean, that's hiding in plain sight. Her assistant is going to be Richard Rider of Nova, who is one of 2 remaining Novas out of an entire Nova Corps. And the big bad is Mephisto. So Mephisto's probably offering like a restoration of the Nova League, or giving Victoria all she wants for power. And that's what I think. And that's things hiding in plain sight. But what really got me from the get-go was Philip Kennedy Johnson's mischaracterization of Bruce Banner Hulk. Yes, he's bringing back Worldbreaker Hulk. Yes, but Jonathan Hickman's mischaracterization of the Incredible Hulk right now in Imperial, because what Philip Kennedy Johnson has been telling over on the Incredible Hulk for over 2 years now. I've gotten every issue. The annuals, the one-shots. I love Philip Kennedy Johnson's Hulk. Hulk and Banner are 2 separate characters with 2 separate voices and motivations. So all of a sudden we have the same look of Banner, the long hair, looking a little bit, just the man of the road kind of thing. And being a Banner Hulk, as opposed to like what's going on, and it's kind of like, Mark McGrath, hello, yes, but it's inconsistent of what's going on in his own book right now, meaning there's a lack of editorial stewardship, and it means that but it's more of like, does Imperial happen after the Philip Kennedy Johnson run comes to an end? And does that mean the Philip Kennedy Johnson run is coming to an end soon? I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying that it's like, it doesn't fit in continuity, right? I mean, like, unless, I don't know. And also we have One World Under Doom going on at the same time too. And there's no crossover there. I mean, there was, I don't know. It's just one of those comic book style. That is a comic book shop style conversation kind of thing. Like, I don't know. I mean, about Hickman's Hickman, so he can basically do whatever he wants, in a way. So it's kind of like, screw what's going on over in Hulk. I need Hulk to be this way. It just doesn't fit. But it's also like, how many times do you see Wolverine in different different books at the same time? How does he find the time? It's a comic book. You know what I mean? You just have to have an imagination and not take these things so seriously. Exactly. I mean, that would be like a hindsight kind of. I know that I looked for this argument alone. Just Philip Kennedy Johnson's Hulk is solicited up to issue 29. That's going up, 4 more months. And it doesn't say final issue. You know what I mean? Anything. It's this. This is beyond. This is Hulk's ongoing, and I hope Philip Kennedy Johnson goes for as long as I hope he has like a 5-year run or a 6-year run and gets to keep Nick Klein for as much time, and Danny Earls too. I mean, it's like, but I mean, the Philip Kennedy Johnson Nick Klein battery on Incredible Hulk is one of my most favorite things about being a comic book fan this year, last year. I mean, it's one of my favorite books. It really is. Yeah, and I'm glad it didn't time it exactly. There is one thing, and there was a review for that too this week. It's Red Hulk number 5, and it's Ben Percy, great art. It fails the Bechdel test amazingly. There are no women in this book, no women talking to each other about none of the men. There are no dinner scenes. I mean, this is as old school as it gets. I mean, I'm not saying that to be some kind of misogynist. I'm just more bemused. I thought that every comic book had to check off the boxes. And this is Ben Percy we're talking about too. So this book is remarkably free of any of that. The only woman in this book was a prisoner, and she got killed by a Doombot. bot, doom, bot, doomy, doom, 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 bot, yeah, doom, bot, doom, bot, doom, bot, doomy, doom, 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 bot, doom. Yeah, Betty is, she was, at least her form was taken by, the old evil there, right? Yeah, I mean, in Red Hulk, yeah, I'm really happy with that. What I'm more concerned about is there are 2 announced specials so far, and the creators and co-writers are awful. LaValle and one of the generic Stephanies. Oh, really? Okay, I'm gonna get to the big elephant in the room. Marvel Knights, Black Panther, the world one with the no. What, I don't give a shit. This book sucked. All right, and you've seen the reveal, the last page of issue 1, everywhere on social media. It's been spoiled. It's apparently T'Challa's natural son, Kitoma, and he's mixed race. He's white presenting. So everyone's saying that Black Panther's white, and they're doing the meme, the whole meme of like the race challenge, the race swap thing. It's like, okay, well, here's Ryan Gosling as Black Panther. How do you like that? Well, why is that problematic? I mean, isn't huh? Everyone should be race. I mean, why race swaps can't just be one way, can they? So I said this to Yul Carter and I said this to Jim, but I was like, I don't know. But Joe Quesada's art isn't all that great in this book. It's just my opinion. It's just something in the inking. It muddles up his fine lines. If you want a great example of Joe Quesada's art, I mean, look at anything on Valiant, like Death Watch, Deathmate, rather, going back 30 years. But look at like Kevin Smith's Daredevil, Guardian Devil. What an amazing book. And Joe Quesada art. It's just so amazing. But also it has a disjointed non-linear narrative, and that didn't work for me. It was cumbersome. It wasn't fun to read. And once again, another Marvel book using the word fascist. All right, and it's like that's got the weight of one side of the aisle in the culture war. I mean, the only people who use the word fascist and mean it are lefty progressives, and they're talking about anyone who is not a lefty progressive. That's hyperbole, but also there's a big kernel of truth there too. So whenever I see the word fascist being used, and I don't know, Iron Man, Fall of the House of X, I've seen Ultimates by Dennis Camp, and this is the 4th time I've seen. I don't read too many DC comics, so I don't know how they're faring on that word. But over at Marvel, I mean, it's like enough already. There's just progressives have ruined the word fascist. They don't know how to use it. I mean, it's like, why aren't you complaining about the carpetbaggers and the scallywags? Seriously, huh? If you know your history, you know that those are literal terms. Or maybe we just have to not take the word fascist seriously anymore, which is the end result, because people used to take the words scallywag and carpetbaggers very personally. It would be dangerous if you were one, if you were in a certain geographic area among a certain culture of people. Maybe. But once again, we have the word fascist in a Marvel comic book. And I'm just like, oh, gosh, please. I'm glad that you finally, I can feel, thank you. Thank you, Stowe. Who was the star of Andor? He was saying that about Latino people in Star Wars. And you're like, what? Huh? But seriously, Christopher is a great writer and a great Black Panther writer in particular. And I think he's earned the right to cook. Yeah, let him cook. Seriously, I just like didn't like the art, and I don't. And plus, there's a story note in there, like apparently, or it's set in a future. I don't know if it's set in continuity. Old Marvel Knights was set in continuity. Well, some of it was set in continuity, but this doesn't necessarily have to be continuity. And there's a historical event called the Race War, capital R, capital W. And you're talking about a fictional African nation and what's going on in Africa right now in real life when it comes to race wars and it's scary stuff going on, and it's barely talked about in the mainstream media. Everything's about October 7th, and everything's about Russia, Ukraine, and everything's about keying and burning Teslas and everything, but what do you know about what's going on in Africa right now? It would scare the shit out of you. It's a very large landmass with a lot of people there, and it's getting pretty awful there. I don't think so it's a little, it's like, so yeah, that was just like, and the word fascist is now a one side of the aisle ideological weasel word. And I mean, and I think, and maybe the last page, was it meant to take the piss out of the meme? I don't know. I see. That's because Christopher Priest is a pretty good writer, and let him cook. And this is only issue 1. So let's see where this is going. Oh, man. We got all new Venom number 7. The art wasn't all that bad. We've had some good action scenes, but it's just like fluff and wheel spinning. Now we know that MJ is Venom. Anti-Venom, who is Flash Thompson, they need to, they're doing a work, and they're gonna have a fight, and so they're in the wrestling parlance that they're doing a work, a public fight between Venom and Anti-Venom to get people off the trail, something like that. You have Amazing Spider-Man number 5, written by Joe Kelly, a great art by Pepe Larraz. It's just story-wise, I'm a little bored with it. I mean, I like Joe Kelly's quippy Spider-Man as Peter, but it's a bit of a snooze of a story. I mean, yet I kind of equated it to a sandwich. I mean, this is a bologna and cheese sandwich on Wonder Bread. I would really like better cold cuts, better cheese, and on a nice freshly baked sourdough, please. That's just my personal taste. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, exactly. That's what it seems like. There could be a reveal, though. You never know. Remember, this is just issue number 1. Daredevil number 22 by Saladin Ahmed. I mean, it was decent to good. It wraps up the new Mushroom Man 3-issue arc. Suarez did, I wish he did the whole book, because his art was definitely the better of the two artists. But it's very Monster of the Week, and by the end of it, I was like, it was kind of just meh. Doctor Strange of Asgard number 4. Ugh, man, no thanks. Okay. But Ghost Rider versus Galactus by J. Michael Straczynski. It's really good art, but it's literally set in the late 1970s. So Johnny Storm Ghost Rider should literally have looked like he did in the Bronze Age, in the old classic outfit with the blue, trim, no spikes on his shoulders, a more regular looking motorcycle, Bronze Age Ghost Rider. It wasn't a Bronze Age. It was pretty. It was fun. Ben Grimm is a pretty good background character in it, and it was okay. Helverine by Ben Percy. I feel it's a hot and cold title. Nothing really happens in this issue. A lot of wheel spinning and not a lot of action. Immortal Thor by Al Ewing. It's wrapping up next issue, and I've been liking it, but I'm finally tired of it. I really am, and I'm I'm done with it. Yeah. Imperial 1. You know what I mean? It's got it's well drawn, it's well paced, it's an interesting whodunit, but I know whodunit. It's Victoria, Richard Rider Nova, and they're getting their strings pulled by Mephisto. I'll put $2 on that today. We'll check back on this in a couple of months. Laura Kinney Wolverine #7 by Erica Schultz. It's a lot better than previous issues. The art's okay. I'm glad they draw a pretty Laura. Yeah, that's cool. But it's the whole mind game of, using a psychic or some kind of agent to manipulate the hero into a fantasy land of their own, so it's I call it the perfect happy world thing. And so the best example of that would be the Black Mercy flower that Alan Moore used, that you can find in his Whatever Happened to the Man of Steel, Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, trade paperback. It's like he did a couple of. This was the Superman annual he did with Mongol, giving him the black flower, the Black Mercy flower, and living in his head the perfect Kryptonian existence, while Batman, Robin, and Wonder Woman are trying to save his life and fight Mongol at the same time. Really great story. But I mean, what's next for Erica Schultz here on Laura Kinney? A body switch? It's kind of cliche. Red Hulk was fun. It's the best part of World Under Doom, and I love it that it fails the Bechdel test so problematically and deliciously. Spider-Gwen, yaysies, she's overpowered because she's infused with the cosmic cubes, and then she's fantastic. She's multiversy, and just like there's a King Loki out there that really needs her helpsies. And but as a Stephanie Phillips book goes, it's pretty well written. It's a Stephanie Phillips book. I mean, I'm not punching down on her. She's well paid. She's got a great education. She's got a great gig. She's got a lot of, she has a lot of titles under her name, but Stephanie Phillips books are that flavor, and, she's writing Phoenix. She did, Captain America, Wolfman and the Howling Commandos, Black Widow and Hawkeye recently. And there's a Stephanie Phillips book, and it's not for me. Storm #9, it was very well drawn. Now, if you look at the composition of the pages, everything draws you into the middle of the panel. It's really well composed, and the art is really good. But it's just that Storm is overpowered. She's OP because she's been infused with the power of Marvel Eternity. The person with the outline that has the Eternity is like one of the cosmic forces out there. And it started off with Storm, dying, and but it's like, I don't know. It's not for me. We had Star Wars: The High Republic, Fear of the Jedi. It's penultimate issue. It's Star Wars: The High Republic since Volume 3 has been the most typical Star Wars comic book, in my humble opinion. I've been reading every Star Wars comic book Marvel puts out for the past 2 years, not on purpose, because of the reviewer copies, and I'm a reviewer. So, Mark Percy is a hot and cold writer. Yeah, I agree. And so buttons. Yeah. One thing I forgot to say is comic book creators I met in Dallas, and one of them was Charles Soule. Charles Soule is one of the ringleaders in the Star Wars office. He writes a lot of High Republic stuff, books too, not prose books. And so I sheepishly said this to him. In hindsight, I'm cringing a bit, but I was like, I got to thank him for Daredevil, Cold Day in Hell. I got to thank him for other things too, but for Eddie Brock Carnage. It was like, I love that book. And but I told him, I really feel that Star Wars: The High Republic really found its stride in the Marvel Comics Volume 3, and it became I feel like after all the hubbub and the BS and the outrage settled down, overhead, feminist side head shaves, empowered women and flying rocks named Geode. But, I didn't say all of that. I just said that, I feel it hit its stride. So I met Charles Soule. I met Ram V. He was a nice guy. I got to talk to him for a few minutes. I got to thank him for Detective Comics, specifically for Rare Flavors and for New Gods. And I forgot. And he mentioned, he said, hey, are you reading Resurrection Man? I'm like, yes, I love Resurrection Man. Really good book. So yeah, and I met Philip Kennedy Johnson. He's going to be in Boston, so I'm looking forward to seeing him again. But he was really cool to talk to. I got to gush at him about Hulk, and other things. So met Sean Crystal and Matteo Scoleri, both of the Ink Pulp podcast. Love those guys. And so I really didn't meet too many comic book talent. Fan Expo notoriously is low on comic book creators, but they did get some good ones. Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder, they had the line of lines. Yeah, seriously. And but that was good. So Star Wars Jedi Knights #4 was really a boring disappointment. It's Ayala Sakura and Qui-Gon Jinn in a team up against some bounty hunters, and the empowered female with the bull ring in her septum, and blah blah woof woof and yakety schmackety. And Mark Guggenheim can do better than this, really. There were some Ultimate books. Ultimate Spider-Man Incursion, which is about Miles Morales going not back to the Ultimate Universe, but entering this new Ultimate Universe. This is not Miles's original universe. Listen, Reed Richards maker, there is a Reed Richards of the 6160. It's not the original Ultimate. And that Reed Richards is Doom. There's got to be a Miles Morales there already, And it was a boring issue, co-written by Cody Ziegler and Dennis Camp. Not that great. Ultimate Wolverine was pretty good, not story-wise, but the art was just so great. His name is Lins, Lins, and he's just it's not everyone's cup of tea. It's not hyper realistic. It's a lot like it looks like Brendan McCarthy in a way, but also kind of like old late 80s Mirage Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I really liked it. And but the art did not elevate Chris Condon's story. We also have, in the last of this Marvel stack of comic books, it was Jed McKay and Ryan Stegman's X-Men #17. It's like the Stegman art's good. It's cartoony. It fits. I've gotten used to it. It's pretty fun. He's got great battle scenes. He's got a lot of action, clever uses of powers. But Jed McKay is kind of basically doing the same act over and over again. He just did this over on Avengers. He did Blood Hunt. He's doing Moon Knight. And he's also doing X-Men. I think Jed McKay is too spread thin, and he's become repetitive. Because this X-Men story is kind of like, I've seen it already in his own Avengers book that's ongoing and concurrent. I also read a really interesting indie comic book this week by James Smith on Dark Horse Comics. It's called Robo Wolf, and it's a real indie comic. I think it's 3 issues long, and issue #1 was great. I love the coloring. It's a great first issue. You know how I'm always going on about a well-done first issue #1, versus a really meh first issue? Well, this is a great example of the former of the two. It's a really good indie. It's very 1980s in a way, the art style, but the panel progression, the story notes, it's the characters, everything worked for me. And it's supposed to have this fantasy world of like your 32-bit old video game, your Sega Genesis, your SNES, your Streets of Rage. Like video games like that set in and some like late 80s, early 90s city, and just and possible like superheroes and supervillains. It's really fun, but great panel progressions. The writer is also the artist, and I want more, and I'm looking forward to more. Yeah, that was RoboWolf. And that's about it this week. Let's see. Has Star Wars Legacy of Vader been okay? No. I mean, it's a useless story sandwiched between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. And it's who cares, in a way, what Kylo Ren figures out because of Rise of Skywalker and where his character goes. What does it matter? It's a useless story. The art's okay, but it's meaningless. It really is. But I gotta get going. I gotta get in the shower, brush my teeth, comb my hair. I'll do it right now. And get ready for to meet my buddy, my friend. And that's about it. So that's the comics this week. Thanks for catching. I hope you enjoyed it. And I really enjoyed recounting my adventures in Dallas, Texas at Fan Expo, meeting real life friends, meeting the comics aficionados, meeting Wes, to Perch, to H.H. German, to A.L. Thank you. To Max, Corey, Aaron, Drew, Dylan, Nick, and everyone else. I'm so very overwhelmed. I'm not overwhelmed, but I'm so satisfied. And I love you guys. Seriously, it was a good experience and making real life friends. And I'm looking forward to our next meetup because it's going to happen. It really is. I know it. I can feel it. And Memes of Destruction says there are a lot of good stories out there. There really are. And he's right. And all you got to do is find them. They're out there. God bless. Namaste. Good luck. We will see you next week, unless I have, another lunch date or something. Who knows? But I plan on it, and I plan on sharing our hobby together. And I'm grateful for you, everyone that tunes into our show. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe. We just broke over 1,600 subscribers on our way to 1 million. And hopefully we'll make 2,000 by the end of this year. Hey, Dwayne. Yeah, we started early today, Dwayne. So feel free to rewind the videotape, Be Kind Rewind, and check out my coverage of Dallas Fan Expo 2025 with the comics aficionados. And also a special message about tolerating outrage culture and bringing that shit into the con. No, keep that shit. If the shit can't exist, then bring it outside. Yeah. All right. Have a good day. God bless. Namaste. Good luck. We will see you in those funny pages. Ciao. Bye-bye. Thank you, Pika.